We'll be right back to this week's Overrated. Hey there, this is your pal Pally, and welcome back to Overrated. This is episode number 35, and today it's going to be viewer questions, or actually 2 viewer questions. And it's going to be a Hunterrific episode, I suppose, as well. So I got 2 questions in my YouTube comments in the last little bit, and I wanted to actually respond to those questions and actually answer them and do a little bit of guide stuff here. So the first question was about what I thought of the level 100 talents in the Warlords of Draenor beta. A great question, something that I will answer here in a moment. And then the second one was about a sort of boss-by-boss guide on what is the best spec per fight for a hunter. So, again, sorry it's a Hunterrific episode, and if that turns you off, fine. But I'm just responding to what you guys are asking. So if you want something different, ask away, put us a comment, and all that other kind of jazz. So let's dive into it. I am going to use the web browser here in a moment to show you the talents, but let's hop on over to Ye Olde Wowhead to take a look at the current talents for level 100 in the Warlords of Draenor beta. So here we are. Yay! Yay! Awesome. Nice little talent calculator that tells you what's going on. So for both marksmanship and survival, level 100 talents are exactly the same. But you will notice when I switch to Beast Mastery, there is a different one called Adaptation, which we'll get into in a little bit. But first, let's talk about the 2 other talents, level 100 talents, that are the same across all 3 specs, as in you can choose them in any of the 3 specs. So, first up is Exotic Munitions. So this one, I'll try to leave the tooltip up here, and hopefully it stays long enough. This one is like Rogue Poisons, and I really like this talent overall. This is probably my favorite one. I know I'm leading with the favorite, but whatever. This is probably my favorite one of the 3. It's just, yeah, because it does give you additional choices on how you want to play things. So as you can see, there are 3 different options. You can use incendiary ammo, poison ammo, or frozen ammo. And these just sort of modify your auto shots to do something. So incendiary is about each auto shot actually splashes some of the damage to targets nearby. Cool. AoE. Duh. Poisoned ammo is about putting on a additional nature dot over X amount of seconds, and it sort of refreshes and adds and can build up. People are still doing sort of research on how it actually feels and how it actually works out, but there you go. And then frozen ammo is about your auto shot dealing a little bit of extra frost damage. So probably they put that in there so that it was competitive with the rest, but it also slows your target's movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds. So it's an automatic slow that's just for you auto shotting. So cool stuff, and I really like how this talent feels because it's like a talent within a talent, and I can modify it per fight. So, for example, today I was actually doing Beastlord Darmak Mythic testing, and that fight is just, oh my god. I mean, you can take a look at the heroic guide I have out for Beastlord, because I do have that one. Gotta catch up, but it's just an AoE fest. It's like, here's some more ads, and some more ads are streaming in. Oh yeah, and would you like some spears on the ground that you can kill too? Just AoE fest. And hopefully incendiary ammo would be the relevant choice, because it's exploding all your damage onto the millions of things that are sitting around the boss in that fight. So, cool. And then if you're doing it a more traditional single target or even double target fight, probably poisoned ammo is cool. And maybe if it's like a council style fight like the Iron Maidens fight, which I'm actually doing the guide right now, maybe there's some interesting play where you sort of try to build up a dot on one of the bosses and then build it up over here and then go back and forth and balance it, and that becomes your maximum DPS. Just some possible interesting play there. And then of course frozen ammo, maybe sort of a default one, or if you're on some sort of ad duty to slow things, you get that. Or maybe this is just sort of more of a PvP type automatic talent. I mean, many of the other ones maybe, but this might work out. So I really, I led with the one that I really liked, which is exotic munitions. But it gives you a bit more choice even within the talent, and I really like that. It's really, really neat. Maybe too much choice, but whatevs. So the probably most interesting one out of all of the tiers, out of the whole level 100 talent tree, is focusing shot. So this is for Beastmaster. So this is a little weird. The tooltip is kind of janky, but it replaces your steady shot or cobra shot in whatever spec you are in, as in whatever your focus generating shot is, it replaces it with focusing shot. And it's a long cast time. You can see 3 seconds, which is lowered by haste and other things. There's even, I think, a perk that lowers it by half second. But anywho, it's a big shot. It hits for a bunch, and it gives you 50 focus. And the real kicker there, hopefully you can see this, is it says cannot be cast while moving. So for the most part, Blizzard has said, oh, well, hunters just are good at moving around, and that's their utility, and we're going to balance them around that. But this changes the game, because not only is it can't be cast by moving, but it's also a long cast time, and it's regenerating a lot of focus. Like I think you normally have 100 focus. Maybe you have, I think there's a perk that actually ups it. I'll have to double check that. But anywho, it's certainly close to half of your focus to be regenerated here. So this one really changes, and I really got to experiment with this, and among the other specs, it really sort of changes up the feel of whatever spec you're playing, because it's like, okay, Beast Mastery. I know I've got to get a kill command in here soon, but I'm at like 60 focus, so I probably should hit Arcane Shot maybe a couple times, then, or should I plan that out and hit like one Arcane Shot? But it really sort of, changed. Do I want to get the focusing shot in there before the kill command, or should I just let myself focus regen normally to do the kill command and then do the focusing shot? It really makes you plan out, okay, I'm at this focus, I need to use it, or else no, that's going to be a waste. I used it and the 50 focus, went over my limit. I focused capped, which is probably not ideal with this talent. It's probably, I would bet that if Blizzard said they can turn the magic dial, that this is probably the talent that's going to be the highest DPS if you play it correctly, but it might have a high skill cap of playing it correctly. So, a very interesting option. It sort of really changed the game a little bit in terms of how the specs feel and such. So yeah, there you go. Focusing shot was interesting. It changed things. So finally, for survival and marksmanship, Lone Wolf is a talent that you can get. And it's basically saying when you don't have a pet, you do 30% more damage, and you can provide one of several beneficial effects to your party raid. Basically means you can buff your raid with one of 6 sort of major buffs. So you can buff stats, you can buff mastery, you can buff blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have all the debuffs, although much of that got removed with the ability pruning and the simplifying of things. So, you probably can provide a useful buff, although most likely it's going to be covered by someone else in your raid. But anywho, this is sort of the passive. I don't want to think about what I'm doing. I don't want things to change very much. Just give me a flat damage bonus, and I guess to get that, I have to sacrifice having a pet. Which, to many, is probably a little controversial. People are like, oh, hunter pets, why don't I have a pet? Oh, because I can do more damage. It changes the feel of the class. But maybe you are sick of dealing with your pet, and you don't want to have the buggy and the pathing and all this other stuff. That really sounded bad in terms of really not wanting to deal with your pet. Anywho, I'm a pet lover. No. But just, you don't have to deal with the weirdness of the pet and managing it in the game. So yeah, a possible just sort of default talent for people who, just want to, there we go. Now, this obviously is not an option for a spec built around beasts and your pets. So for Beast Mastery, this talent actually changes to Adaptation. And what this does is basically, it also sort of provides that buff to your damage, a passive buff. So this is saying your pet's combat experience gets 85% increased damage. And the other part of it is that your pet gains all of these other little abilities that were normally reserved for sort of other specs or other exotic pets. So for example, Roar of Sacrifice is something that you would get from a particular beast, but regardless of what pet you have, you get these abilities. And it's really, I played this and I really forgot about it. And that's sad too, because I probably could have been more helpful to my raid had I not gone, oh yeah, that's right, I've got Roar of Sacrifice. I could help the tanks out occasionally with giving them... Roar of Sacrifice is basically Hand of Sacrifice, essentially, from a paladin. I mean, it's not as strong because it's a pet, blah, 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 and there's things there. But I forgot about all of these things. I could do this. And in fact, it's kind of hard to... it's kind of hard to remember that, oh, you've got Last Stand. Well, is that actually useful for your pet, in essence? I don't know. Maybe for soloing stuff, certainly, but if we're talking sort of raid performance and that type of thing, this, I don't know. Maybe it's good, maybe it isn't. Certainly, soloing-wise, this might be the number one talent for you wanting to go solo Lich King 25 Heroic and get your mounts. But I don't know. It felt really weird, and it felt like I didn't take advantage of it, and I really hope that people remember that they have all that utility and use it. So yeah, just those are the current talents. So there's actually, instead of there just being 3 level 100 talents to talk about, there's actually 4 due to, Beast Mastery having a different one. But there you go. And then overall, focusing shots surely changes the game. It surely makes things different for you. But exotic munitions for me was just sort of my favorite. It was just sort of like, it's not a passive, it's something I need to remember to apply, like a rogue poison, which maybe that's a little maintenance-y, but I slapped it on there and I felt like I was doing something different for different fights by applying the different ammunition. I don't know. That's my thoughts. So there you go. Someone who asked in a YouTube comment what my thoughts were on level 100 talents. Bam. There you go. You ask, I deliver. So the next subject up was supposed to be on talking about per fight in Siege of Orgrimmar, what is the best hunter spec? And I'm going to give a lot of preface and preamble here because it's important, because there is a theoretical max for every one of these fights that many people know, and I could probably just spout off a list and be done. But I don't feel like that would be a good enough service for what this person is asking. They talking about talents and talking about per fights and everything. I really want to dive a little bit deeper into each fight to give an instance. And there are going to be instances where it's like, yes, on Fallen Protectors you can scumbag DPS by doing this, but if you really want to be successful in this counter, you should probably go this way. So, take all of this with if someone comes in and goes, no, you're completely wrong on this fight, you should always be this spec because it's the top and everyone knows it's the top. And no, I get that, and I'm sure I'll get some comments, but whatever. What I'm trying to do is say, in my experience, having done both survival and beast mastery and occasional marksmanship, I'm not going to say marksmanship for many of these because I didn't experience it very well in Siege, but in my experience, what was most useful for your raid and downing the encounter and doing good DPS, maybe not chopping the charts all the time, but what would be most successful for your raid to have you be? So there you go. That's my preface to all of this. So let's dive in to each of the fights. We'll go in order. Immersius. And I'll also talk about, like, it might be different between heroic and normal mode. So Immersius is kind of annoying for pets. If you haven't done Immersius very much, you may not know, but the pet despawns all the time. And what actually is happening is that as depending on how your raid sets it up, if you've got, like, one side of the room is one tank and the other, half of the raid, and the other side has the other tank, if the back of the boss, like, switches rapidly, your pet may go farther from you and despawn, and it's just really freaking annoying. You can prevent it by being closer up to the boss, which is fine and dandy and works out. But for that reason and the pet jankiness, I usually like to pick survival on this fight, and especially too, making your pet run around to all of the ads during the split phase is kind of annoying to have to manage. So again, I just go survival. And I guess with an exception here on heroic, you could pick Beast Mastery if you sort of want to top the charts, because on heroic there's like a bajillion ads that come out during the first phase, and you could slap your pet right in the middle there and do some insane beast cleave and win at the DPS meters. But are you really serving the raid by that? Yes, you're getting rid of the ads quickly, but they're probably going to die to some elemental shaman or some warlock or whatever doing AoE. So I don't know. I just go survival because if the pet despawns, I'm not losing out on a huge amount of DPS, and I can get it back, and I can, be in the right range for it to not happen again. But just for all of those reasons, survival. Go survival. Alright, so moving on. Fallen Protectors. This somewhat depends on your guild strategy or where you are at progression-wise. If you're really sort of working on normal or heroic and trying to get this boss down for the first time, you sort of want to focus on doing single target DPS, and therefore, like, nowadays a lot of people who have had this on farm, or even who may outgear a little bit, they sort of just group all the bosses together, focus on Rook first for a little while, push him, do the ads, but then try to push the other two at the same time, in which case, like, then this fight is built for serious cleave. And this is one of the fights where I can even compete with the frickin' warlocks. So if you do have the chance to make a warlock cry in this fight by beating them on it, do so. And for that, I would say go Beast Mastery, because if the bosses are close enough together in the middle, hitting a multi-shot, cleave, win. Not to mention, if you do like I said, and they push the second two bosses at the same time, and you got like all the ads together plus the Mark of Anguish, then it's like cleaving off the Mark of Anguish target. It's just like, here's numbers, yay, win. So again, yeah, Beast Mastery. Moving on, Nourishin was actually one that I played survival on for quite a bit of time, and I really don't know why, because Beast Mastery is not necessarily better number-wise. I mean, it probably is, but it's better for the frickin' DPS test, and I really don't know why I didn't realize that for so long. So, you go into your little DPS test, and you got the ads that sort of face the different ways and shoot stuff at you, and for survival, if you're like 85% of your own DPS, whereas the pet in Beast Mastery is like 50%, so you're doing 50%. Your pet, if you've got it on assist in Beast Mastery, like, runs around to the right side of the ad and starts DPSing it. Oh my god, why didn't I think of that before? And even doing a kill command from far away, I think usually will hit even if you are in front of the shield of the ad. So, duh. I don't know. I don't know why it took me so long to realize that, but there you go. So I'm going to say again on Nourishin, Beast Mastery. and certainly, even outside of the DPS test, it is a pretty pure single target fight, and in theory, Beast Mastery should be that single target awesomeness for you. So, there you go. Pushing on to Sha of Pride. I must admit that I am not very good at this fight in terms of pushing some serious numbers or whatever. I'm not sure if it has to do with me sort of trying to pay more attention to the mechanics and DPSing the ads that come out, or the people who get imprisoned, or I don't know. I just don't seem to do great DPS, so I don't have a great recommendation other than probably survival, because again, switching from the boss to the ad that spawns in the back of the room or on the sides of the room, probably you lose some DPS by having Beast Mastery. You have to run all over there, but I don't know. Again, I don't have a great recommendation because I don't seem to be very good at that fight. I don't know why. I should probably dig into that at some point. Self-improvement time. Yeah. Alright, pushing on. Galacras. Cleave. Beast Mastery. Done. There isn't too much to say. I played survival for so long because I was like, oh, Serpent Spread, that'll be awesome. But then it's just like Beast Cleave, just slaughters. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And again, not to mention, I'll say this on other fights too, making sure your black arrow doesn't get put on a target that's about to die. Yeah, that's important as well, because you don't get your procs. So yeah, Beast Mastery all the way. Moving to Iron Juggernaut. So this one, certainly from a single target max DPS standpoint, Beast Mastery is what people are going to say. It is dependent on your gear, and that theoretical max and everything is something that is dependent on gear and trinkets and this and that, and how many upgrades you've gotten, what item level you're at, blah blah blah. But I played this as survival for quite a long time, but I seem to end up pulling better numbers because I can focus on it. It's a fairly patchwork fight. You're sitting there, you have to dodge things here and there, but it's just like, do your best DPS. And in fact, when evaluating a new raid member and looking at things, Iron Juggernaut is the one that people just sort of pull out and go, well, what was their numbers looking like on Iron Juggernaut? What was their uptimes on this and that and this and that? Yeah, totally. So, whatever you are best and most comfortable at in terms of rotation, do it. If you are equally as comfortable or not as comfortable at all at anything, try to go for Beast Mastery, because a lot of the cooldowns line up, a lot of the, just sort of single target focused DPS. There's nothing to cleave off of, but yeah, Beast Mastery. So pushing on, Dark Shaman on normal. I guess this depends on strategy on what you do. Most heroic strategies have the bosses split after you kill the dogs off of the wolf riders or whatever. So that sort of sets up for a single target fight. For a long time I played survival because I was like, because I would be on the guy that got kited around and did the little slime ads, and I seemed to be the only one who was DPSing them. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go survival and Serpent Spread, and yay, look at my numbers, I'm looking awesome. Until I got into groups that had some serious elemental shaman, and then it was just like, where'd the ads go? I don't know. So this answer, I guess, depends a little bit on group makeup, and depends on if you're doing normal, heroic, whatever. Probably in both cases it doesn't matter, because are you going to kill the ads or are you not going to kill the ads? I don't know. I end up being survival for the most part, maybe out of laziness, just I like playing it as default, but probably Beast Mastery will be just fine and dandy. There were quite a few problems with this fight in terms of AoE that kills your pet, so maybe that leans more towards survival in general, but I don't know. There you go. Pushing on to Nazgrim, this is probably one of those cases where the pet having to go from Nazgrim and back and forth just makes it a survival fight, or just makes you probably perform better in general as survival. Again, you have to be very careful about not putting your black arrow on like an ad that's about to die. But even if you just remember, okay, black arrow cooldown's coming up, gonna go shoot it on Nazgrim and then go back to DPSing the ads like I'm supposed to. If you can remember that piece, then probably you'll be just fine with survival. But yeah, I mean, not too much else to say on that one. Pet runs all around, bad juju. Malkarak. For both normal and heroic, I would say Beast Mastery is that single target best number. You can even cheese it a little bit and up your numbers a little bit by putting Beast Cleave on just as the ads from Heroic Mode are coming in. Up to you. Up to you. If you want to be that guy. But, yeah. Again, your best single target rotation, just like our Juggernaut. Yeah. Nothing much there. Moving on to spoils, I would say I would love to be able to play survival on it. There's just so many ads and serpent spread and goodness. But because the ads die so quickly, and that's the whole point of the fight, putting your black arrow on anything is just terrible. And yeah, you can use frost traps to proc lock and load, but that just doesn't feel right. So unfortunately, you have to break out Beast Mastery in this case, and just make sure you manage your pet well in getting into the right clumps of ads and properly multi-shotting, keeping Beast Cleave up, etc., etc. So there you go. I end up playing survival quite a bit just because I am lazy and don't switch from the last fight, or just be like, oh well, I'm in survival, screw it, let's just go, let's do this. But there you go. There you go. All right, and actually, let me not finish with that. On Heroic Mode, where the little sparks come down, it's actually sometimes not too bad to play survival. I end up like really focusing on killing those sparks because I feel like I need to do it or else no one else is going to. Actually, a lot of people do. I'm not saying they don't, but it's really nice to have like a lock and load proc go off and then go, oh, here's a new spark, explosive shot, explosive shot, explosive shot, glaive toss or something, bam, it's dead, and you move on. But anywho, that's probably why I end up playing survival quite a bit and not rely on the beast to master it. Alright, pushing on, because I'm getting slap happy. We got Thok. So Thok is totally, again, another patchwork, max DPS thing. I end up playing survival quite a bit. The max DPS here should certainly be Beast Mastery, but I think there's probably some issues if you don't manage your pet right, and it depends on your strategy for your guild. So if they have a strategy where the boss is being kited for quite a while, maybe your pet can't catch up and you're having trouble getting kill commands off. That would suck. And I don't know, I end up zoning in with survival and just going, bam, black arrows up, okay, sweet, got this, serpent sting is just about up, got proc, yeah, okay, and I just zone in on that. And I don't know, I like playing survival for this fight. It probably doesn't matter from a utility standpoint, but again, oh, and be a good hunter, and just as he's coming out of this little kiting phase, put that healing debuff shot on there. I'm looking at you. Do it. Do it. Alright, moving on. Siege Crafter. Oh, you know what I'm going to say. Belt duty. If you are unfortunately stuck doing full-time belt duty, the answer is if you want to jack with your pet and have to manage it and dismiss it and then get it back up there and then mess with it, you can do Beast Mastery. It's probably for people who are soloing the belts on 10-man. If you really need to get good at it and do that, because you don't want to, just be only doing 85% of your DPS because your pet got jacked up as survival. But for a 25-man guild or more like casual, or you have a lot of gear and you can solo it easily, survival is just freaking easier to do the belts on. Just forget about your pet, don't worry about it, and move on. I don't know. That friggin' fight. As for being on the platform itself, I don't think I have a great answer. For normal mode, there's not as many mines hanging around, and there's not a lot of opportunity to do AoE, so probably Beast Mastery is fine. And probably even with Heroic Mode, with all of the frickin' mines everywhere, the Beast Cleave would be pretty beastly, pretty awesome on that. So, yeah, probably Beast Mastery for hanging out on the platform too. But I've never had that experience, so I couldn't tell you. Someday. No, probably not. Probably not. Probably not ever. Oh well. Moving on. We're almost there. We're almost there. Paragons. This is a fight where you could certainly take the Fallen Protectors approach and cleave the hell out of things and top charts and make Warlocks cry. But you probably shouldn't, and you shouldn't be that guy on this fight. This one really relies on you doing that maximum DPS so you can single target the boss that you're relevant on and just get through it and get through the next phase. So, yep. I'm going to say for this one, probably it's a toss-up. I end up playing Survival, but you do have to go back to being careful about where your Black Arrow goes. As you can see, like, I don't know, 10 or so episodes ago where I did the Paragon's Heroic Deep Dive, I was not very good at remembering, oh, this Paragon's about to die? Don't put Black Arrow on him. Oh, way to go. Way to go, Pally. But, there you go. Probably Beast Mastery would be just fine, too. And again, you can scumbag it if you want. Throw a multi-shot out there occasionally, whatevs. Whatever. Anywho, moving on. Last fight. Gary and Gary Heroic. So, in both cases, the theoretical maximum and what I would prefer to play is Beast Mastery. Do I play Beast Mastery on this fight? No. Why? Because I'm on engineer duty. And it is actually possible, someone's going to post this, I know, it is actually possible for you to take and manage your pet correctly and put the pet in the range of the engineer and get it down in time, but I don't want to jank with that. So I have played Survival on this fight forever. For the hundreds of wipes on Heroic mode and the many, actually probably a pretty substantial amount on normal mode if I recall. So yeah, I would love to play Beast Mastery. It would be good for so many reasons. So, outside of the engineer duty, you got single target, good. You want to do some good damage to Gary. There's the ads in the beginning. They're all clumped up. Beast Cleave, oh my god, awesome. There's the ads in many of the temple phases or the transition phases. And even on Heroic mode, you got the ones that are the 3 sitting right there. It's like, oh my god, I'm slaughtering these ads. Yay, good job me. Oh, there's so many reasons. So many reasons for it to be Beast Mastery. But alas, I can't play it. I'm not allowed to. But oh well. Oh well. I'm not mad, bro. Anywho, hopefully that was at least slightly educational for some Hunterrific people. And, if you're not a hunter and you stuck through this, you are a champion. I love you, and I appreciate you a lot. And, as well, you certainly have an opportunity to ask other questions about the Warlords of Draenor beta, or what I think about the fights in Siege, or anything like that. So, post comments. Here's me taking a comment and responding to it and giving you my perspective and my answers and my love and attention. That's me. Anywho, I have done 3 shows today. Did the podcast, the Edge podcast, and then I was actually on Roe from Realm Maintenance and other places. He actually interviewed us from the Edge on Realm Maintenance, which will be out Tuesday something or other, end of August, whatever week that is, and 27th, I guess. So I did that, and now I did this show, and now I am very tired, so I'm going to go to bed. I will cut this and get this out as soon as I can. But anywho, as always, I appreciate everyone listening and watching, and hopefully this was somewhat educational and awesome. And yes, awesome. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. This is Overrated number 35, talking about level 100 talents, and talking about Siege of Orgrimmar, boss per boss, what spec is better. Thanks, guys, for watching, and have a good one.